Fed up on for the cross. Toshek was deep. And it's there! The ball went loose. Brian Hall was in there.
They never built teams around Brian Hall, but when he played, everything worked. He didn't fill stadiums with noise. He filled the gaps between players, the silent space where good teams become great. While others chased the ball, he chased the moment before it broke. Measured, unshaken, relentless. Hall didn't just play, he thought faster than the game. He studied mathematics at university. He joined Liverpool with a degree and a will to serve. He wasn't there to entertain. He was there to make sure those who did, could. They called him Bamba in the dressing room, the clever one, the quiet one. But ask Shankly who he trusted in midfield, and the answer was always the same. In 1971, when Everton had Liverpool on the ropes, Brian Hall struck a volley that changed the game. Not with power, but with timing. Not with fame, but with purpose. This isn't about glory, it's about clarity, and the rare kind of discipline that doesn't need the spotlight to matter. Brian Hall played the way others wished they thought, and for a few golden years, Liverpool moved to the rhythm of his intelligence. Subscribe if you still believe in the players who never needed headlines, only the ball and a reason to run. Brian William Hall was born on 22 November 1946 in Glasgow, Scotland. But it wasn't Glasgow that shaped the man Liverpool would one day rely on. His family moved south while he was still a boy, settling in Preston, Lancashire, a quiet industrial town where he grew up surrounded by books, football boots, and discipline. At Preston Grammar School, he stood out early, not for size or swagger, but for his sharp mind and relentless work ethic. While most young footballers were trying to catch the eye of scouts, Brian Hall made a different choice. He turned down the rush for early contracts and chose instead to study mathematics at the University of Liverpool, a full-time degree in a city obsessed with football. It was there, in that balance between lectures and training pitches, that he caught the attention of Liverpool Football Club. Not with flash, not with power, but with control, movement, and a mind that never wasted a pass. He trained with the reserves while finishing his degree, working part-time as a bus conductor to cover his student expenses. Bill Shankly, amused but impressed, once said, "Do you need a degree to drive buses these days, son?" Behind the joke was respect. Hall had brains, lungs, and loyalty, and Shankly knew exactly what that meant. Brian William Hall turned professional in 1968, aged 21, older than most, but sharper than most. His league debut came on 7th April 1969, a 0-0 away at Stoke City. No fuss, no mistakes. The kind of performance Liverpool didn't talk about because they trusted it. In training, Hall did everything at pace. Ball recovery, positional shifts, support runs without needing the ball back. Shankly noticed. He didn't say much at first, but he didn't miss a thing. By the start of 1970-71, Liverpool's midfield was changing. Ian Callaghan, Shankly's reliable right-sided engine, picked up an injury. Hall stepped in, quiet and precise. When Callaghan returned, Shankly made a decision that said it all. Callaghan moved inside. Hall stayed on the right. You don't change a midfield for just anyone. He wasn't there to impress. He was there to solve problems. And he did, game after game. No wasted touches, no drifting out of position, just clean football under control. Hall didn't demand space. He created it. He didn't break shape. He held it. Liverpool's system didn't bend to his style. It thrived because of his discipline. The players around him got the headlines. He got the manager's trust. And at Liverpool, that meant more. It was 27 March 1971, Old Trafford, FA Cup semi-final, Liverpool versus Everton. The air in Manchester crackled with noise, half red, half blue. At 1-0 down, Liverpool were in trouble. By the hour mark, Everton looked certain to reach Wembley. Then came a scrappy equaliser, a deflected shot, a moment of chaos. But still, no control. Liverpool needed more than belief. They needed composure. They needed someone to shift the game without shouting. In the 75th minute, the ball spun loose near the box. Brian Hall didn't panic. He let it drop once, then hooked a right-footed volley across his body, an unnatural strike from an unnatural angle. The net rippled. The red end of Old Trafford erupted. And for the first time that day, Liverpool looked certain. They won 2-1. Hall's goal wasn't just a turning point in the match, it was the first major stamp of his name on a club filled with louder ones. No celebration dance, no chest pounding, just a quiet jog back to halfway, already thinking about the next phase of play. The media called it a surprise, his teammates didn't. That moment earned him a place in the starting 11 for the 1971 FA Cup final. And though Liverpool lost to Arsenal in extra time, Hall had arrived, not as a substitute, not as a squad man, but as a player who changed games on his terms, in silence, with precision. From 1972 to 1975, Liverpool won constantly. And behind every victory, Brian William Hall was in position before anyone noticed danger. In the 1972-73 season, he played his part in a side that won the First Division title and lifted the UEFA Cup, Liverpool's first European trophy, a double built on work rate, cohesion, and tactical clarity. That year, Hall started the original first leg of the UEFA Cup final against Borussia Mönchengladbach, a match abandoned after torrential rain. When the replayed leg was staged the next day, Shankly opted for aerial strength, bringing in Toshak and dropping Hall. It stung, but he didn't speak. He served. In 1973-74, Hall returned to the center of everything. Liverpool swept aside Leicester City in the FA Cup semi-final replay. Hall opened the scoring with a low finish. He started the final too, as Liverpool dismantled Newcastle United 3-0 at Wembley. No flash, just Hall linking lines, chasing shadows, making space. That summer, Liverpool beat Leeds in the Charity Shield. Hall calmly converted his penalty in the shootout. He featured throughout the 1974-75 season, anchoring the midfield as Liverpool finished second in the league. It would be his busiest campaign, consistent, reliable, trusted. Then came Strømsgodset, Liverpool's 11-0 win in Europe. 10 outfield players scored. Only Brian Hall didn't. Not because he couldn't, because he was too busy making sure everyone else did. While others chased glory, he held the structure. No interviews, no applause, just clean football, from the first minute to the last. By 1975, Brian Hall was still running, still training like it mattered, still making Liverpool better, even as the future began to move past him. The team was changing. Younger names were rising. Jimmy Case broke through with aggression and power. The midfield started shifting toward muscle and moments. Hall felt it, long before anyone told him. Minutes became fewer, his influence quieter. In the 1975-76 season, Liverpool won another league title, another UEFA Cup. Hall was still there, still in the squad, but he didn't start in the final, didn't touch the pitch in either leg. He watched from the bench, knowing he had helped them get there, but not knowing if there was still a place for him beyond it. That summer, he made his decision. After 8 years, 224 appearances, 21 goals, Brian Hall left Liverpool. He went to Plymouth Argyle, a second division side struggling for identity. They were relegated in his first season. Later, he would say quietly, leaving Liverpool was a mistake. Not in bitterness, not in regret, just truth. From a man who had nothing left to prove. He left the club that shaped him without a headline, without a tribute. At Plymouth Argyle, he brought discipline to a dressing room that had little of it. In 1977, he moved to Burnley, a club with history but fading strength. At first, he struggled, then he became a regular, then, slowly, his minutes declined again. By 1980, Brian Hall's time in the Football League was over. He played briefly for Northwich Victoria, a non-league side where the spotlight never reached. He didn't complain. He just played. But football was never his only plan. He went back to what had shaped him from the start. Education. Hall taught in local schools, then moved into local government, working in Preston Borough Council, heading community and recreation programs. And then, in 1991, he came home. Liverpool invited him back, not as a player, but as a voice, a bridge between the club and the people. He became a key part of the football in the community program, eventually rising into public relations and outreach roles. For 2 decades, Brian Hall gave everything he had to the club that first gave him a chance. No cameras followed him through schools, hospitals, and local events, but everyone who met him remembered him. He didn't come back to relive his past. He came back to serve its future. In 2011, Brian Hall stepped away from his duties at Liverpool. Not because he wanted to, because he had to. He had been diagnosed with leukemia, a slow, grinding opponent that didn't announce itself with pain, but with fatigue that never lifted. He had served the club in its community roles for 20 years. Schools, clinics, outreach, quiet work, constant work. He never missed an event unless illness made it impossible. In May 2012, before a match against Fulham, Anfield rose to salute him. There was no grand tribute, no scripted speech, just the club, the crowd, and a man who had worn the badge long after the boots were gone. He watched from the stands, older, thinner, but still steady, still proud. 3 years later, on 16th of July 2015, Brian Hall died at home in Preston. He was 68 years old. He left behind his wife, Mary, their 3 children, Jane, Elizabeth, and Andrew, and 7 grandchildren. The tributes came in from teammates, from the club, from those who'd never seen him play but remembered how he made them feel. Terry McDermott called him a great person. John Aldridge said, "A gentleman, you'll never walk alone." Others called him Bamba, a quiet joke that had become a mark of respect. There was no testimonial match, no posthumous award, just memories, and a legacy carved into those who knew what he gave. He didn't lose the battle, he ended it on his own terms. Brian William Hall never asked for anything. Not the headlines, not the spotlight, not the noise. He gave Liverpool 8 years of total clarity. 224 matches, 21 goals, and a standard that didn't need explaining. He played in systems built around bigger names and made them work. He was voted among the 100 players who shook the cop, not for flash, but for function. For what he gave, for what he never took. Brian Hall didn't play for attention. He played for structure, for rhythm, for the crest. Subscribe if you still believe in players who gave everything, even when no one was watching.